such a long period of time. And I attended BRCVR a couple of years ago when I just joined Allspace. So this is like a great idea, and most importantly, it motivates me for goal setting and building my all of my activities in order to get there.
Hello, Jimmy.
Yeah, because it's going to be like a whole year is going to be dedicated to that. Going to Turkey, probably getting my visa, then like after getting visa, like I need to find the camp and then tickets and all of that. And I hope my husband is coming, and another lady from my city, she said, oh, I'm so interested as well, so she maybe might come as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but it fires me up, the idea that it's the last year I want to go to the Burning Man, because I gotta do that because
It's gonna be the last year of Burning Man.
no, it's not for Burning Man, it's for me, because later I'm gonna get older and it's gonna be too complex and too expensive. It's like third of your housing basically of buying a decent apartment.
Well, we were gonna rent a RV. Sorry, my dyslexia, and
Oh, yeah.
have water available to shower every now and then.
Nice.
Kind of just
Nice.
hanging out for a second.
Yeah, that
No,
sounds great.
not really. We do have a VR channel, so I don't know how many of you guys have been with us or how long, but we have a YouTube channel with most of the videos from our events. So if you ever want to go back and see what we've talked about, or probably see some stuff of yourself in VR in all space, it'll always be here at Ozzy Limitless Mind. Just do a YouTube search. Please subscribe. I think we have it as a playlist too. Yeah, there's a playlist of all
Yeah.
three of our
Yeah.
Universe, whatever.
I actually started arranging
It's
it.
what, 2 years now?
Yeah,
So we've
for
been
2
doing
years.
this 2 years. So there's 2 years of stuff.
Yeah, and I haven't recorded many of it. I'm just starting this event actually motivated me to do like these little designs and learn screen recording and all those skills. So, yeah, it's my first YouTube channel, so maybe you want to join it. Anyway, and I tried to arrange videos so that way it's going to be interesting to watch that little short video that you just seen. It's a 5-minute discussion after one of the events, but it's so intense. It has like 5 or 7 big features and big topics that we discussed, meaning of life or stuff like that. And the rest of it is just like full recordings of like 1 hour 30 or 2 hours of the event, because we used to do 2 hours and after party, so some of them are over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think you got some of Ron's events in here too.
yeah, and
couple years
exploring
ago, I was
VR.
talking to a buddy of
Here's
mine,
Ron.
and I
Like
said,
this is one of the few events I had a chance to record.
"Isn't it
Recommend.
amazing how the
Very cool lectures. This is like a crime, Ron, that you had so many
I know.
interesting lectures and you never recorded them.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, right.
It's a heritage. You have to leave it behind. And and especially I compared it with your real events. It's much more engaging because there's a real person telling you stuff. But in VR, the quality of sound is a little bit better because of the the design of the space. So every time I have a chance, I come to the event. Even if I'm busy, I can't attend. I try to record something to keep it, for myself and for other people. So yeah, exploring VR is like where I'm just going crazy and exploring different platforms or games or different stuff.
couple of
Like,
years ago, I was talking to a buddy of mine,
Mhm.
and I said, "Isn't it amazing?"
Oh, sorry, that was a video. I thought that was you talking for real.
yeah.
That's hilarious, bro.
You can't shut that guy up.
I just realized it was a video. I'm like, oh, what was he saying? I was listening to
I
Ron.
know everyone stopped to listen.
Dump hosts, me and Mendes, right? Yeah. Paige, I can't hear you. You're a little bit far. Yeah, nice. We are all nice and roundy, arranged as we normally do. So today's I forget the topic of today's intelligence, psyche.
Intelligence, psyche, body.
Yeah, I think we've been around these topics for a long time. Let me turn on the hand raises just in case if somebody wants to express their opinion. As always, I don't know why we still have these moderation events, but it's just like an old tradition to keep myself busy, like to feel important that I give you megaphones or something. So yeah, and we I think we've been around this topic for a long time, like when we talked about different other topics. So I decided to unite them and talk about these different levels of our personality because they are all interconnected, and I think they all influence one another. And sometimes we don't even understand how heavy some influences might be. Speaking of which, I think Ron had like a different, like a lecture recently about microbiome and how our body, the microbiome that we have, can actually influence our moods and our behaviors. And that's like how crucial it is to understand how our systems work, like our psyche, our body, because we consciously sometimes apply so many efforts to some project which we don't even want to do. Truly, we do not want to do it because it contradicts with our psyche, right? So many people go to jobs because they think that they have to go to this job, and but they don't. They some self-sabotage because the different levels of their personality are in conflict, and it's not always obvious. And I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about it? What's the interconnection between intelligence, psyche, and body? I think my area of interest in the next maybe, well, in the recent couple of months or even more, is more about psyche, because intelligence and body is more about science, and I learn more about science and I have some more background there. But with psyche, about different schools of psychology, about different methods of coping with problems, different types of traumas, and how they can influence our behaviors and how to heal those traumas. This is the area of my interest. So if you can share anything about that, that would be great. If not, I could share something that I know, so we can create the space of shared knowledge. Everybody's in the house. I think there's no new people, so let's get going. What do you guys want to add to the discussion? Just let me know. I can give you a megaphone.
Oh, did you pose? I thought I heard you pose a question like, well, what did we think are? What is the connection we make between those? Is
Sure.
that right?
Yeah, that's the question. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
I don't have an input.
Okay, not so far. Okay, first hand raise from Mylin. Let me give you a megaphone. Nice and cozy. We have like only the people who have been participating for a long time.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
I would like to just to share my experience, especially in the psychic version of this
Nice.
topic,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
and it might sound crazy, but it actually somebody has experienced it, like killing some yourself, like suicide, or killing others. I had kind of experienced this moment within. Yeah, it didn't just happen in a one day. It
Mm-hmm.
just happened during a long period of stress. Yeah, it comes into this kind of condition, and although it's hard to just uh, imagine how I became such an condition, but it actually happens. Yeah, I thought it was kind of only happens in movies, but it did happen with me. And what's interesting is that uh, whenever I used to just solve this my psychic condition via music or via just going away from human beings, like going into the mountain and live alone, or just, listening only music could help. Yeah, it does help. But as soon as just going back into the usual day routine and just keep going with the daily life, it still just brings those feelings back again because of the issues. Root of the issue is not coming from this kind of chemical stuff or any kind of social stuff, but there will be some kind of issue that made made this kind of psychic moment that makes me or somebody just kill others or hurt others or make a suicide. And what one thing I noticed is that only the solution is just find the root and just try to be happy or just, recognize the yourself why this kind of situation just happens for me or others. Yeah, that was my experience, but it's great to listen to others as well. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for sharing. This is like mystery for me how it affects the life, but it seems like magic. People start going to psychologists and like therapists, and like all of a sudden their whole life changes. And this is actually one of the I think experiences that I have right now. Surprisingly, as I said, like I had some important conversations and trips and like maybe a couple of weeks ago, and all of a sudden everything around me started changing, and like some projects returned to me after months of being away, and all of at the same time. And it was like a challenge for me to actually have a choice of going back to my choices that I always used to make, like when I make things and make decisions, or to build new patterns. And that was the biggest challenge in that trip that I was there. And I had a choice to go and join the company into the new adventure, or to stay in my regular comfortable zone. And I said, nah, I'm not gonna go. It's like blah blah blah. I made my typical choice, and they actually pushed me to the edge, and they said, well, if you do things in your old way, you're not gonna get new results. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm coming. So that was a decision that was like a very remarkable point where I decided that I'm going to build new connections in my mind. And that's when I realized that I don't want to wait anymore. I want to go ahead and live my life and make my dreams come true. And two things that I immediately thought about were going to the Burning Man and buying a car for like a Mini Cooper, because we both like Mini Coopers, and mainly my husband. And it's been like a joke and family, idea for a long time. I said, oh, we are going to buy a Mini Cooper and blah blah blah, and because it's your dream, we should live our life and have our dreams, because it's been 4 years. Nothing changes if you don't work on some projects. To work on projects, you have to really want to have them right now. And that's what I decided to choose this year. I'm going to go ahead and make my dreams come true, and probably I imagine that next year I'm going to change my life to more of a like to motherhood or something, and that's going to be like a different period of time. So before I get there, I want to finish all the things that are not finished. So yeah, and Psyche definitely influences not only our feelings, but somehow they influence the world outside. It's like magic almost, probably because we start emitting different energies, and people react to that differently as well. So yeah, any comments? Ron, I would appreciate your scientific and more of a like healthy approach to things, if you have any background in psychology or like therapies or anything that improves people's lives, even coaching.
One of the things you talked about just now reminded me of the concept of karma. Karma is an interesting thing. A lot of people believe, that what you've done in a past life, or what you did as a child, or whatever, it's all going to come back because of karma, right? Which is some mystical property of the universe that evens things out. But what karma actually is you acting in a certain way that elicits a response from the people around you. Karma is like and I recognized this when I was very young. I was very defensive when I was very young, and so on the playground, which is hell on earth, for me it was anyway. When I was on the playground, if anybody threatened me, my normal reaction was to just back down. I was totally defensive. I would talk my way out of conflicts, and I would just, back away. And what that behavior did, though, was invite people to come and bully me because I was going to back away. Everybody knew it, right? So you could look at that and I could say, wow, I've got really bad karma. All the bullies like to pick on me. But in reality, it was my behavior that was making that stuff happen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so one of the things you have to look at as you go through life is, how are people treating me and what am I doing that's inviting that to come on? Um, there's another thing you should think about too, which is the person you really are is the person you are when you're all by yourself. So one of the things I did when I was in college is I would go on backpacking trips into the woods for 3-4 days. And you do something like that, you're on your own. You can make up excuses in your head for whatever, but there's nobody there to tell the excuses to, right? And you become cognizant of the fact pretty quickly that it's just
You're
you
breaking up a little bit.
doing that
Maybe
stuff.
move.
Am I breaking up?
No, not for me.
Uh,
Anybody else?
I'll leave and I'll come back.
It's fine to me. Oh, so, hey, Seikikama, sorry. Yeah. Welcome to Theory of Everything. It's a cozy circle today, right? Like, everybody has been here. Hey, you have a hand raised. We talk about intelligence, psyche, and body today. Ron is about to rejoin, and I think we are going to continue the conversation. Ron, you're back. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm here to observe and listen.
Oh, nice. Okay, then I recommend to mute ourselves while we don't speak. I wear my headsets as well not to have headphones. Sorry, not to have echo. A nice idea. I have so many comments about it. So Ron, please continue.
Well, I was wondering what you mean by psyche.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's a real thing or not. It depends on what your definition is. Could you tell us?
Good question. Maybe we can ask everybody else because I talked too much today. But I would say that psyche is the word that is used mostly in psychology by different schools of psychology. Definitely by transpersonal because it's like one of the areas that is not standard psychology, but it's something that gets more popular and something that interests me in particular. And I think that Jung and Freud, they had like a little bit of a different definition because for Jung we had like different parts like ego, animus, and collective conscious, unconscious, subconscious levels, all of those things. But I prefer the word psyche because it kind of sounds almost mostly scientifically, but in translation it means soul. So it's something that I probably on a basic level, like a physical level, I would say it's just limbic system. It's our emotions and the way they behave, the way they control our behavior, basically, because our intelligence does not always control the situation. It explains to us why we think so, and it kind of tricks us. But in at the end of the day, I think all the major decisions are basically made by our limbic system in our body, which is like very, very easy to bring as reliable information because of these scientific findings about the microbiome and like the way our hormones and our neurotransmitters and the way our body is built, how heavily that influences our behaviors and our personalities even. But psyche is something like it's like I use this word because it's something that is almost mystical to me because I don't know much about it, but it's also some level where our soul could be hidden. So there's some touch of spirituality there as well. So I don't have a definition. As I said, I'm not a very knowledgeable person at this. That's my definition. About karma, I think that's a very good point that could be explained by both spiritual things and like karma is actually the word from philosophical beliefs of Buddhism and Hinduism, right? And it's like I see it as when I heard about karma, I thought, oh, it's like in gaming. It's like game points, like experience points that you get. If you do like renegade moves, you get negative experience points, but still there are points. You can spend them for, upgrading your skills and all that. If you do good things like protagonist actions, you get good points, but it's still the same, coin. It's the same XP points, right? Experience point. And karma just doesn't give like good or bad result. I think it's just the quality of your experience. Like when you have a certain pattern of behavior, you get the certain response from the universe, basically, of what you get. Also, that's very easy to explain if you think about the body language. It's the example with your like childhood. I think it's very how do I say, like, we don't even control these systems, and many people do not realize that they're controlled by the system. But it's very clear to me that when you see the body language of a person, you feel their, basically, like their energy, let's say, like their behavior, their character through this. Your posture shows if you're a confident person or a shy person, right? Your actions, your pupils, how you behave, it shows your emotional state and whether you're afraid or not. And that kind of encourages the person to act in accordance to that. So if I see that my opponent is scared, that naturally gives me more confidence, and that's why I want to conquer that territory. It's almost an animal instinct, like dogs. Remember how dogs, like, they don't hear your words, they hear your intonations and see your body language. And if you say something that, oh, you have to stand, you have to do what I say, but at the same time your voice is not confident, the dog feels that. And that's why the dog wants to conquer as much territory as possible and have more control and domination in space, I guess. So what do you think about it, guys? Do you have any ideas you want to share? Anything? Hey, welcome, AVD.
I've always thought of oh, hey, hello.
Go ahead.
Hey, Evie.
Hi, everyone.
I've always thought of the psyche as like a mental state. Whether your psyche, whether your present psyche is like, what are you feeling? Everything that's that builds your mental capacities, like at that moment. Like your psyche will be different tomorrow based on what the day's experiences bring to you, but that's the psyche that you take, or that's the mental state that you have moving forward. So like my psyche right now could be positive, and then that goes back to that karma thing you were talking about, because I've always felt like we create. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, just where me, I feel like we create our own destiny. So, like in my life experience, like I've said stuff over and over, and then I've thought about something over and over until I feel like it really became my reality. So I've always kind of believed in that. Probably not. I don't know. Like it's hit or miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. I don't know if I have control over it or not, but I know that I feel like there's been experiences where I've done that and I've had those thoughts that manifest into something. So I think, if for people who like believe in karma, um, if you do something and you have that thought that, oh, this is going to lead to bad karma, then when something bad appears, you label that as part of your bad karma. I think that all kind of builds into the psyche and to who you are. I think intelligence is knowing how to separate that, or knowing how to make sense of that. Um, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thanks for sharing. Nice. I see Paige is raising her hand, so let me give a megaphone to Paige. Oh man, this was even faster. Okay, you have the megaphone.
Hi. Let's see. All these thoughts. Um, I don't really believe in karma, like it's a tit for tat, I guess, in the world. Um, I don't know. I sort of came at some point in time. I just sort of felt like there were too many bad things happening to good people and good things happening to bad people. I also believe that's kind of BS, right? Because I don't really know who's a good person or a bad person. I just know how I perceive them and what I think. Like, but I don't even know if they're good or bad people. But energy in the universe, I look at it as for sure if I put energy, or if we look at like the law of attraction, which I know this is a lot of woo-woo stuff to people, but if I put negative energy out there by focusing on something in a bad way or whatever, I just think that that attracts that type of energy. And that can sort of align with karma depending on how we define karma. But I also think that same thing with positive, and it's really hard to separate our body and like our amygdala, um, that creates all these stress responses and fear responses, and protective responses to keep us safe. It's hard to separate how our body reacts to that, and then what we then say and do, because I think we lose ourselves when our body takes over that way if we're not careful. Um, Let me see if there's anything. Intellect and intellect, like I just think that intellect is, for me, an intellectual person, or I don't know. It's just, are they asking questions? Like, are we continuing to examine everything? Are we challenging our own beliefs? Are we challenging the box that has been put in front of us? Because our brain, like, if we go back to the body, so like my son, whenever I had him, he heard 5 languages a day. He was staying with a German family that I adore, and I say German. The father was German, the mother was Czech, and they spoke German, Czech, Russian, and Italian in that house. And then, of course, I'm American, and so we spoke English in my home. But that was just a few hours out of the day because I was working, as parents do. Anyway, what I found out as I was sort of studying the effect that was having on his ability to communicate at a young age verbally, was that our brains turn off. It turns off what it doesn't need. So, like, he could hear sounds and say sounds that my brain can't hear or say, because around 1 year old or so, our brain starts to say, that's not necessary. We don't need that intonation. What we really need to focus on is this, like a really good filter for the information that's important to our development and our growth and our success as humans. So it turns that off. As we grow up and develop, and I mean, even I'm in my 40s, every day as I learn, my brain has, created this box. Society has created this box that I believe to be true, but there's more things that my brain can know, and box is not necessarily real. So I think just challenging what I believe to see right in front of, my face, and challenging all of that is really important when it comes to intellect, when it comes to opening my mind and figuring out what's going on out there. And then I don't know. So I guess that's where I'm at with that when it comes to all of this. Just that our body and our brains definitely form the boxes, and society, what we grew up with. And then we, as intelligent beings, because I do believe that we are, can push beyond that stuff that our body and our brains has taught us. And then as we do that, we need to check our energy. Like, check your energy. I need to check mine every day, and I think everyone should check that energy every day. So.
Yeah, I've always thought that like what we put out into the universe. I mean, I don't call it. I call it cosmic karma, but I mean, I don't really think of it as karma in a traditional sense. I just always felt like whatever we push out into the universe is what the universe gives back to us. Um, because I don't know, I can only base that now off of like prior life experience, but I know when I was younger I had a certain disposition about how I felt about the world and about how things are for me, and I think that kind of played, that negative view brought negativity in my life. And now that I live in a positive, like, I had my awakening a long time ago now, but now that I'm in a positive mood, like it just blessings upon blessings upon blessings. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say bless. I don't mean that in a religious context. I just mean that's the best way to describe it. Because, I'm blessed to be where I'm at now, and with my family, how it is. I think that's what that's from. I do see hand raises. Mar Dallaswar.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, bro. I'll give you a megaphone.
Nice, and our new people also want to participate.
Well, yeah, I do see Evie with a hand. So I pass the microphone to Mardal Swar, and then Evie.
Check out the figures that
Karma.
yeah. Check out the figures that Dr. Heartbeats. Is that what you put? The Vitruvian Man, specifically for Iran, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not a
Yes.
I'm not a firm believer in karma, per se. I think you reap what you sow. From a bit, if you want to quote the Bible or something, or actions have consequences. But things happen. I mean, things have happened in my life that, karma. I don't think I deserve what's happened. I mean, when I lost my son, I can't imagine me ever doing anything in my life that would warrant, losing a child. But so yeah, I mean, it's I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, you can't put a whole lot. I mean, to me, it's karma is more of like a concept that people like to use to justify what's happened in their lives or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying there's not some truth in it, but I can't think you can put a lot of stock into something that's kind of out there that I just don't. I'm not a firm believer in it. I guess I think actions have consequences, but things are going to happen that you don't deserve, and I don't think you can call that karma. I think that's that's just life, and you learn to deal with it, you learn to live with it, but you just have to be ready for you got to prepare yourself. I mean, what's the old saying? You hope for the best but expect the worst. I mean, that's kind of where I've gotten lately.
Expect the worst but hope for the best. I think that's how.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to put a lot of faith into something that I can't, that doesn't really hold up for me. That's my take on that.
Cool. I love when the room has different points of view and like we have the full spectrum of people and opinions. Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes some people might use it as an excuse, but I think that's its purpose. If a person believes in something, whatever it could, like however non-logical it could be for other people, if it works for him or her, it gives the results. Why not? I think the many spiritual systems, including religions, actually provide some background for people to have some explanations for different situations and not to lose, hope and not to lose, some meaning in life, because we want to believe that life has some meaning, and I think all these systems actually provide some meaning to it, because it's scary to think that everything is just random and it's just there just because it's randomly arranged itself into the system that we have today. So yeah, I think it's just dealing with that. Whatever works, why not? So,
Yeah. Whatever. I think I've always felt like whatever is going to lead me or someone else to improvement, as long as we're taking steps to improvement and we're not hurting others, then why the hell not? Some people buy into certain stuff, and some people don't. You know, it's whatever floats the boat, right?
I like to use the phrase, if it works, it ain't stupid, right?
Evie, I will pass you a megaphone if you want to add to the convo. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Um, so yeah, I was gonna share that I'm also um one who believes in the law of sowing and reaping. You reap what you sow. But as my brother just finished sharing, I was kind of going in that direction too, as far as like going through things in life. Like I believe, yes, you reap what you sow. Um, and I believe that it's kind of like generational, right? So it's like I have my mom and my dad, they've done things, or even their grandparents, and like it's like a generational kind of thing. Where I do believe that there can be some things that, let's say, me as a daughter, that I could inherit, whether through genes or whether through being in a certain environment, from my mother and my father, that maybe I didn't ask for. Or things in life, I've also understood that things in life just happen, and we don't know why they happen, but they happen how they happened. Um, and it reminded me, I'm Dominican and Cuban. I grew up in a Hispanic household. My mom and my dad are, they came from. My mom came from DR. My dad came from Cuba, but they never really went back or anything like that. But even growing up in that environment, I was never really taught emotional intelligence. I wasn't really comforted in my emotions. I wasn't validated in my emotions. I wasn't validated as a young child. And I found myself just, you know, as I got older, I realized how much that affected me, because I'm here like, not understanding boundaries, not knowing how to choose the right friendships, finding myself in the wrong relationships, or just making decisions in my life that weren't fitting to who I was or what I was trying to be. As a very young girl, I loved to dance, but you know, lacking that support, or that, just that encouragement really caused me to let go of things. And it's no one's fault, but I definitely feel like maybe things would have turned out a little differently if I had that support. But then, something happened when I got a little older. I'm 29 years old now. But at some point in my life, I remember that I started going to a talk therapist, right? Because I had gotten really addicted to drugs, at the age of 15. From the age of 15 to, like, I would like to say 23, 24 years old, I was just smoking weed. I did ecstasy pills. I got really addicted to cocaine, though, towards the end of my drug use time. And I remember I ended up in a drug program that I submitted myself into, but I started talking to a talk therapist while I was in the program. And the talk therapist taught me about this theory, and it's called the existential theory, um, where basically you are in charge of your choices. And when I ended up in that place, in that low place of drug addiction, I honestly blamed my parents, because I felt like, because of your lack of being there, because you didn't take care of me the way I felt like you should have taken care of me, look at where I'm at. And I remember one day my mom said to me, um, you are where you are because of your choices. And I remember being so upset at her, because I was like, how dare you tell me
Right,
that
right.
I am where I am because of my choices, Um, but it was such an impactful statement, because it wasn't until a little later that I did realize, wow, she's right. The reason why I'm in this drug addiction, the reason why I'm in this program, is because I've made choices. Granted, I had an upbringing that was hard, one that I felt so rejected by. And my parents, they're both the same, so it's not like anything has changed. They're still who they are. Um, but one thing that I there was this enlightenment that came upon me. And the idea was this, that at the end of the day, things were not my fault, but they became my responsibility. It wasn't my fault that I was hurt,
Right.
but it was my responsibility to own up to my decisions and choose to heal, no matter what, no matter who, and it doesn't matter
Right.
where I end up in life. So I decided from that moment forward that I'm going to choose to change and not become a victim of my environment. And, like I mentioned, the existential theory that my talk therapist was teaching me about, I also realized that if I have people around me that don't make me happy, it's not their fault. I chose them. So now I'm realizing, even as a young person, that my reality has a lot to do with what I choose. So if I want good friendships, I have to choose good quality people. If I want to be happy, I have to do things that make me happy. If I want to have if I want to have a good marriage, I have to pour into my marriage and make sure that it works. In the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, they said it works if you work it, so work it, you're worth it. So that has been my philosophy. And yeah, so I have learned that it's mind over matter, and where the mind goes, the man follows. So I have learned I'm not there yet. I can be honest and say I'm still recovering from my emotions. I haven't touched drugs since the age of 20, like 24. So I'm 29 now. So I've been like, I would like to say I haven't used drugs for the past, I would like to say 5 years, 5 or 5 years. I would like to say 5 years. So I would say 23. But things have shifted for me in such a great way. But what I want to end with saying is that I, due to my experience, I have seen that we have the ability to overcome some of the hardest things. And I think that's like a mini miracle. The fact that some of us can go through some really, really hard stuff and still recover and still bounce back stronger and still come back and hit a little harder. So life can hit us with its best shot. But I truly believe, and this is for anybody in the room, I truly believe that even if you're having a hard moment, it doesn't matter how hard it is, you can overcome that thing. We have that power. So thank you guys for letting me share.
Thanks for
Yeah, thank you
sharing.
for sharing.
Yeah, that's so cool when you
Uh,
have like a space and you can express your emotions and your experiences, your thoughts, your background. That helps a lot. I think when people have similar situations too. Excuse me. It's a little
I
bit
think
dry.
it's pretty powerful that you're able to find your peace and find growth out of your situation. Um, it's really awesome. I'm glad you shared that with us. I try a lot to teach like my children and stuff how to remove that mentality, that psyche of not being able to or blaming others.
Yeah.
I got young daughters, and sometimes they blame each other for stuff, and I remind them like. They say, well, she made me do this, so I scream. I say, no, you scream because of your own reaction. She can't make you do anything. I mean, it's a hard concept for children to understand, but I just lead with the hopes that when they grow up, it'll pop out to them and they could grasp it. Um, I know it took me a long time. so,
Yeah, we're
so,
all growing. Okay, I have a couple of hand raises from Sekikama and also canceled, I guess, from Bernie.
uh,
Sekikama, so what do you have to share with us today?
I would like to say that the brothers and sisters here, they put a lot, they're very beautiful uh, ideas about the karma, and they share their beautiful views. But I would like to say my point of view of karma from a religious perspective. So we hear the word karma a lot in the media, but we don't know what it means. More important, do we know what it means for us? The word is originated from Hindu culture, which believes in the reincarnation and the idea of the good and bad deeds of former lives, where what determined your good or bad fortune in the present life. But when you hear the word karma in a movie or a television series, it probably just means fate, the reward and punishment meted out to us as a result of our action. That is the sense in which we'll be looking at it here. Islam doesn't teach reincarnation, but the connection between our deeds and our futures is stated clearly in the Quran and the Hadith. So basically, my understanding of the karma Okay, karma is a kind of yoga, so it's called karma yoga. Karma has three criteria. One, the person who is performing this yoga has to think that I am not doing anything. God is making me do works as I am just a part of nature, which nature is making me to do works, and nature is part of Supreme Soul, who is actually God. Two, the karma yoga has to do works, but has to remove the desire of the result of works, because it's uh, so at the end of this, like there is no difference between the yoga practicing and the karma. It will be more better that we believe in karma, like from a religious perspective, but I respect what the brothers and the sisters talking about for the karma. I would like to hear more. Sorry for if
Oh
I said
no, don't
anything wrong.
apologize. Nope.
Yeah, no,
Um,
no, no,
we
thanks.
accept all perceptions and views. Yeah, no sorry is necessary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Thank you for
the
sharing that.
yeah, that's our concept, to have as many opportunities as possible, because it's thank God we all have, an opportunity to discuss things without, getting offended or getting personal or something. That's great. Excellent. So, well, Bernie, would you like to add anything? I saw a hand raise from you for a while, but
Oh, yes, I would.
go
Can you hear
ahead.
me?
Okay, let me give you a microphone real quick.
Oh.
Okay, Mantis is so much faster
bad.
than. Yeah.
Yeah, I like. I just want to say I enjoy hearing what people say about overcoming their situation under any circumstance. Not that I'm a Christian, but I'm still a person. And I do love to hear the things that people have conquered in their lives, things that they have overcome, and things that they are trying to overcome. That's so important because we are all trying to overcome things in our lives. And as a Christian, or even before I became a Christian, I did experience things that I did in this life, and how I would I wouldn't call it karma. I wouldn't give it that name, but I do know in this life, if you're gonna go out there and do some dirt, you're gonna get your hands dirty. It's just that simple. But I say even when you do get dirty, as a Christian, I can say, Lord, I'm sorry. And that's the thing that I have, that I can repent. I don't have to look for something to happen to me. If I did something and I didn't do it, with the intention of hurting, or even if I did do it with that intention, but I may come to realization what I did wasn't right, and I can repent. If I can't keep doing it over and over and over again, because that means I'm really not sorry about what I've done. And I know I've been in situations where I couldn't. When my mother passed away, everything got dark. My father passed away, everything got dark. And I needed help. I needed help. I would go talk to people. I sought clinical help and all that. And it got me to a certain point, but I was in such a deep place that their voices were just like little echoes. You know, and so for me, there was a person. I call it a person. The person of Jesus, who came down in that hole where I was. And brought some light in that hole and lifted me out of that hole. And I'm forever grateful. So, and I still believe that God even helps. I mean, God helps people even if they don't believe in Him. Because He's God. He helped me when I didn't believe in Him. Otherwise I would have made this life as far as I have. And so I just love hearing stories of people overcoming circumstances, and for people who are in a very, very dark place. My heart, I have such compassion for struggling and going through something, in this life that's very, and I still, whether they believe it or not, I still pray for them. You can't stop me from praying. I can pray. I'll still pray for people, no matter what they believe. But you don't want to see nobody hurt. You don't want to have to see somebody suffer. You don't even want to see yourself hurt and suffer. And so that's what I have to do. Other people take care of it in their own ways. And the bottom line is that, we should all, try and help one another get through, or just sitting down talking with somebody. It does wonders. And as far as the mind can be a very tricky thing. I remember my pastor saying, oh, well, sometimes when women get raped, they forget that they're raped. I'm like, how could a person forget that they were raped? And I put up such a fuss. Like, you can't forget nothing like that. And then it was years later, it I remembered what had happened to me, but I had blocked it out. It wasn't to the full extent of rape, but it was, I had blocked it. And he knew what he was talking about. He also took pastors are trained to take psychology. So when he was telling me this, I was like, no way. And I put up such a fuss. A person's not going to forget that. And I realized it happened to me, and what happened, I saw it in my dream, what had happened to me. God had brought it back to my remembrance. I guess because it was time for it, whatever. And to be honest, this is how it may sound strange, but I dreamt of my mother who had passed away. And I says, tell you, but she had passed away as in the dream. And before I could tell her what had happened to me, she says, I already know because it happened to me. But she never told me that had happened to her. And then when I had awakened, I was inquiring of my brothers and sisters, and they says, yeah, that happened to mom. She's never told me. But in the dream she told me. So she already knew what I was going to say before I could even say it to her. So our minds will block out, things and tragedies and sometimes we put ourselves into situations that have hurt us before because we want to make it better. We just gotta fix it. Well, we got to be careful of that. You could go in there and try and get into a situation again, and you're going to get hurt again. You have to be careful. Sometimes you have to just sit back and get out of a situation and not feeling like you can fix everything because some looking to be fixed. You know, so we have to, tread lightly of the things that you do. And as for me, I tread lightly, and I have to learn to be content, not wanting to have to fix other situations or, and bottom line is, we have to be careful of the things we do in life. I wouldn't call it karma. I could call, you might get arrested. So, for some of the things you do. So you have to really be careful of the things that you do in life. And just pray that even if you do get into something that you didn't intend to, that you don't always have to get, paid back on it, Say, Lord, forgive me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. No, I won't do it again. Help me in my situation. So.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that, Bernie. We've always talked about, taking that time to analyze yourself and where you're at and to reevaluate yourself constantly. So I really support that. And again, like Bernie said, thank everybody who shares their experiences here. We hope that it helps us all grow together. I do see a hand raised from Addie. I'll give you the.
I gave the megaphone already.
So are we talking about karma here, right?
Yeah, intelligence, psyche, and body, and we started talking about karma and different things. So feel free to express your opinion about any parts of the conversation.
Or if you want to segue to something else,
yeah,
you can do that too, because this is theory of everything.
I can go with karma. So first of all, to introduce myself, I am from India. I am Hindu. So
nice.
I would know a bit more about karma than anyone else. So first of all, it's not pronounced as karma. It is called karma in Hindu philosophy or in Hindi or Sanskrit. It's called karma.
Can you it's called, what is that again? Say that again for me.
It's called karma. So you omit the A because whenever you will write it in English, it will be called karma because in English we will put an extra A in the end, right? But the original pronunciation is karma. So karma basically is your action. The literal meaning of karma is your action, and karma means the basic concept says whatever action you will do, you will have a consequence. that can be a bad or that can be a good consequence, right? Uh, but you should be true to yourself when you are doing that thing, right? You should have good intentions in your heart at least when you are doing any of that thing, right? uh,
Right.
so you can do good things and it can have a bad consequence also in some of the cases, but the important thing is you should be true to yourself when you are saying. And there is a saying in Hindi called "कर्म करो फल की चिंता मत करो" means uh, if you have ever heard of Bhagavad Gita or Krishna, it is written there. So that just basically means in simple way. So you should do your actions, and you should not bother about the consequences beforehand. You should uh, just be true to your path, what you are following, and true to your action, what you are doing. Uh,
Dharma?
if you will bother too much
Yeah.
about consequence, it will have unnecessary stress. It will have unnecessary, you won't be able to do that work because of that stress. uh, you will be uh, you will be inclined more towards the results than towards the path. So karma basically means you should be inclined towards your path. You should be true to your path and your whatever you are doing. So that's it, I would add.
Thanks for sharing. That's so cool that we
Well,
have like
thank you for
different areas that we can cover. Excellent.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
yeah. I think that Mardos.
I always thought.
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead, Mark. You have the megaphone.
Do you have it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's an old thing that it's called. You probably all heard it. No good deed goes unpunished.
Oh yeah.
And so so I think it just for me. I mean, this is just my opinion on the matter, but life's going to happen to you. And it's going to throw you some curveballs that you're not ready for, that you didn't deserve. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a firm believer in reincarnation. I don't particularly buy it. But, I'm not criticizing anyone who does. If you want to be punished for something you did in another life, if it is real, to me that's just not. I don't know. I just can't. I don't see it myself. But I'm really nobody. So what do I know? But anyway, I'm just going back to the statement that no good deed goes unpunished. So no matter what you do, I think something's going to happen. Something can happen. I'm not saying it always will. It's just going to throw you completely out of whack on the whole situation. So life is what it is. I mean, there's no guarantees that you're going to have a good life or a bad life or any other. Life is just what it is. You have to learn to live with the hand you dealt, and hope that when you've got everything sewed up at the end when your time comes. So anyway, that's just I just want to put that out there.
Thanks for sharing. I like how you guys stand your ground and easily express your opinion without offending anybody, right? I love it. Excellent. So we don't have any hand raises left.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but
that's fine. You're very
just
polite.
what I'm, my own personal belief.
Exactly. I think that everybody should understand that as a by default setting, that everybody just expresses their own opinion, and even if they tell you something, it's their reflection. They're telling that mostly to themselves because that they see the situation from their point of view. So you're free to accept that, or if it resonates with you, if you agree with that and you think that's going to be good to you, or you can ignore that, because sometimes people talk to you, but they mostly see themselves there. They don't talk they don't actually talk to you. It's like presents. Some
They're
people
not actually talking to you.
yeah. It's like presents. Some people can give you a present that they think that you would like, and they sometimes really do it very well. And some people, they just like, give you presents that they like, and both are fine. Both are presents, right? Good. So, Mendes, you were going to say something before Myrtle Spark. Do you remember your thought?
No, I do not remember my thought. So sorry. I
Okay.
do see Paige has her hand up, so
Oh.
maybe she's gonna say what I thought. I don't know.
I had a feeling that Shell also had her hand raised, but I haven't seen it after a while. So.
I don't mind
was
having
just
you go. Well, I think. Oh,
yeah, you go.
um, yeah. I think about this a lot. I think about reincarnation. I think about karma. I think about how it represented itself as a child. It was very, very highly prominent. It was the most prominent aspect. Karma, as redemption, and as suggested, it was about the uh whether you've done good or bad, or and then it shouldn't be a reflection on your past life. That's very true. I felt that 100 times. I had that thought come across my head. Why does it bother me when I haven't done anything wrong? Why are they concerned about a past life? And karma does represent itself like that. There must be a reason for it. Today, I still don't know. It's a mystery. I go to the Zen class. It's prominent there as well. In my daily life, it's prominent. Um, but I'm starting to steer away from my beliefs in reincarnation. But it still hangs there. And I think that what it is that um, we do choose our own patterns in life. Let's say from heaven. I had the same discussion with my sister. She said, I outcasted you, but it was your choice. And I said, no, it wasn't. I didn't want to go to hospital and lose my friends and be sedated like that in such a, suicidal degree. And she said, no, it was your choice. You chose it. It's your path. We choose everything as before we come down from heaven. We choose everything. And I said, I've never been to heaven. And she said, well, maybe after when you go to heaven. And then I rang a bell, and I thought, that's it. That's the thing. And uh, yeah, so that's all. I do think that's just an outline. When they say karma is redemption, I think there's more to it. Um, your psyche and the psychic spirits experience can influence your decisions. So I think that has that aspect as well.
I agree.
At the end of the day, it's all our own pot of gold. At the end of the rainbow, we suffer to gain at the end.
Thank you for sharing that, Shell. I think a little bit of I've always believed that. Oh, I haven't always believed this, but when I did start believing this, is when like a lot of doors and opportunities opened up for me. But I didn't always believe that I was in control of my own life and my own destiny, and I oftentimes looked to others to blame them or to pass my grievances on to. But once I start internalizing what I was experiencing and learning how to communicate with myself and reevaluate what I got going on, then I was able to overcome my situations and move forward. So thanks for sharing that, Shell. Paige, I gave you a megaphone.
So with reincarnation, when I think about, and I have no, this is just completely my own point of view. Like I have no basis for my beliefs on it. But whenever I've thought about it, I don't see like my past life as like a different human or a different person or a different spirit or soul or whatever. I see it as a continuation, and that's still me. So it's not that I'm now being punished for that other thing, but like it's all me now. I don't know how to explain it, but
Mm-hmm.
the reincarnation is like sort of going through the embodiment or awareness and then whatever, but it's still all me going through that loop. More woo woo.
Yeah, well, I've thought of that before too. Like, I mean, like, am I? I don't know. I've seen. I don't know. I think it's a good time for that video, the egg. So to before we go, we'll
Our
watch the
favorite.
video
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, the video is describing exactly what we're talking about right there. So thanks for sharing that page. Um, it's actually 11:50 now, so I see two hand raises. Um, Omni and six second comments. Do you think we should, if you can you keep it a little short? Because the video is like 9 minutes. I do want to respect everybody's time, and I do thank
I
you
will
guys for
keep it
coming.
short. No
Okay.
problem.
You have your hand up
So,
first. Go ahead, second comment.
to be honest, I wasn't knowing anything about karma before today, before I joined this circle, this beautiful circle. So, based of my understanding, okay, um, I haven't have the good knowledge, so I went to a website to see the Islamic point of view of karma. Okay, so I would like to share it with you if you have the time, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. It says karma and accountability. Okay, the Quran makes it clear that we will be rewarded for our good deeds and punished for our sins, but not necessarily in the earthly life. Allah holds us responsible for our evil deeds, and remember our righteous acts, similarly favorably on them. The righteous will earn blessings in this life, but infinitely more in the hereafter. The righteous look for good karma. The slave of Allah do not, as do certain religious sects, seeks out suffering as a form of spiritual discipline. Neither do they wish suffering on each other. In the Quran verse it says, "And he who believed said, O my people, indeed I fear for you a fate between two arrows, like the day of the companies. Bad karma is associated with denial and disobedience." The Quran repeats many times with many examples that the fate of the unbelieving, disobedient ones is far from rosy. Similar situation as yours have passed on before you. So proceed throughout the earth and observe how was the end of those who denied. You will have good karma if you will tell the truth about Allah, even if people don't believe you. Who lived out the lesson better than Yunus and many, Yunus, which is Jonah, and many others of prophets. Allah instructed them to tell them the truth, regardless of how the people responded. And He rewarded them for having the courage to do so. Good karma only comes to those who open their eyes and fear Allah. The message continually exhort us to open our eyes, to reason, seek the truth. A life of distracted business of willful blindness does not lead to good karma. Um, Cultive consequences, and we sent not be you as a messenger, except a man whom we revealed from among the people of cities. So have they not traveled through the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? And the home of the hereafter is best for those who fear Allah. Then you not reason. The Quran 12:109. And thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for giving me the chance to deliver this message.
Yeah, no
I would
problem. Thank you
say,
for sharing.
if I know the topic, if I know what is the karma, I would lovely to talk about it from my own imagination. But since I don't have enough knowledge, I choose to read from the website to you to understand the point of view of the Muslims about this matter. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's nice that we start,
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
yeah, mixing and matching and like having different approaches to the same question. Okay, one more hand raise, right? Before we go into the video.
Well, Omni left. He was here,
Oh.
but
Okay, gotcha. If he joins back, we can talk after the video.
if we join back, we'll pause the video or whatever. So we want to play a video, but again, event ends at noon, so feel free to pop out if this isn't for you. It is kind of, I don't know, I don't really want to describe it as like
Yeah,
religious.
decide for yourself. It's just like a funny, for me it was an interesting idea that explains very easily things and brings us back to the very.
It's just an interesting take.
Yeah, why not? Another combination.
Do you see the screen?
Not yet. Broadcast.
Oh, I can't click it on there. Okay, 1 second.
You were
Okay,
on
good.
your way home when you died. It was a car accident. Nothing particularly remarkable, but fatal nonetheless. It was a painless death. The medics tried their best to save you, but to no avail. Your body was so utterly shattered, you were better off, trust me. And that's when you met me.
It stopped for me.
Stop for me too.
What happened? Where am I? You died, I said, matter-of-factly. No point in mincing words.